Honestly, most people quit right before things actually start working. You've probably done it too, trying something new, putting in the effort, and then suddenly, it starts to feel pointless. You're still showing up, you're still grinding, but it feels like nothing's happening. And here's the thing, today's New Year's Day, and honestly, I'm making this video partly for fun, but also partly as a fresh start for myself, a little reminder for myself, and maybe for you, about why it's worth sticking through the boring parts. Stick with me, and I'll explain why. At the start of anything, progress feels obvious. You improve fast, you feel motivated, you get feedback. It's exciting, you know? It feels like proof that you're actually doing the right thing. But that feeling never lasts forever. After a while, progress slows, not because you're doing something wrong, but typically because the easy gains are gone. You're still showing up, you're still putting in the effort, but nothing feels different anymore. And that's usually when people quit. Honestly, that's the point where almost everyone bails. Here's something nobody really talks about. There's this weird phase in almost anything you do where you're putting in tons of effort, but visible results just kind of disappear. You're practicing, you're learning, you're repeating the same thing over and over, and sometimes there's just no feedback. So your brain says, oh, I guess this isn't working, and you stop. Most of us almost expect progress to look a little bit more like a straight line. You try, you improve, you keep going, you improve more, but real progress, honestly, it doesn't work like that. It's more like a flat stretch for weeks, and then suddenly, something just clicks. If you quit during the flat part, you never reach the click. And this is exactly what happens in marching band. At the start of the season, everything just kind of clicks fast. You're learning drill, you're learning music, and it kind of all comes together. Each rehearsal really does feel productive. Then you hit the middle of the season, September slump. You're rehearsing for hours, fixing really tiny details, cleaning the same sets over and over. From the outside, it almost looks like nothing's changing. But as you know, from the inside, it's really exhausting. But honestly, that's not the show getting worse. That's the foundation being built. That's the phase where most people get frustrated, and it's almost always right before the show finally locks in. This is why motivation, actually, it's kind of overrated. Motivation shows up at the start. It disappears when things get repetitive. It's completely gone when results just aren't obvious. So when people say, I lost motivation, what they really mean is, I stopped seeing progress. And here's the hard truth. Most improvement is almost invisible while it's happening. Your brain is just adjusting, your habits are changing, they're stacking, your skills are quietly improving. But you don't feel it yet. And because you don't feel it, you think nothing's happening. That's the mistake, honestly. Now, this doesn't just happen with marching band. It happens with school, with fitness, with learning new skills, with content creation, with basically anything that takes time. People don't quit because they're bad at it. They quit because they confuse silence with failure. There's a specific moment that almost filters everyone out. It's usually when the work feels routine, the excitement's gone, and honestly nobody's watching. No praise, no obvious results, just the same thing over and over. That moment, honestly, kind of decides everything. The people who make it through aren't always the most talented. They're the ones who stayed up after it got boring. They stayed when improvement felt invisible. They stayed when quitting honestly would have been easier. They stayed when nothing seemed rewarding. Honestly, that's usually all it takes. Comparison makes this even worse. You see someone ahead of you, they look confident, they look consistent, they look like they're figuring it out. But what you don't see is how long they were stuck in the same quiet, boring process. Comparison makes normal progress really feel slow. And here's a question that really helped me. Instead of asking, is this working? Ask, am I still showing up? Because showing up is the only part that you can control. Progress happens on its own schedule. The funny part is, once you push through that phase, things actually do get better. What felt hard almost becomes automatic. What felt confusing starts to make sense. You notice progress that used to feel impossible, but you only get there if you don't quit right before it. If you're in that phase right now, where you're trying and it feels like nothing is happening, that does not mean you're failing. It usually means you're early. Now, you don't always need more motivation. You don't need a new strategy. You don't always need to start over. You just need to stay. And since it's New Year's Day, I'm making this video partly as a fresh start for me, and honestly a way to remind myself that the boring middle phases are worth it. Hopefully it helps you too, especially during those tough, quiet stretches. Now, if this connected with you, you're probably someone who's actually trying, and that already puts you ahead of most people. So stick around. I'll be talking about this kind of stuff a lot more.